Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Wednesday night class reading through the TANAK, the 17th of January, 2024. We're going to pick up where we left off last night, dealing with Enoch, Jesus, so-called Yahushua, and the book of the Giants. So do some scripture comparisons and take it from there. We can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. I think we're up to something like 184 videos, a lot of information. You can check it out. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. For those that want to support the channel, we got a cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay. You can go to our, we have our other classes in different times during the week. On a Tuesday night, we have our advanced Bible study for everybody to join in. That's from 8 to 10 Central Time. Then we come back on Wednesday nights. We have our reading through the Tanakh, where we do a lot of reading and breaking down scripture. That's from 8 to 10 Central Time on every Wednesday. Thursday nights, we have our Israelite Women's Advanced Bible Study night, where they come together and do Q&A, break down scriptures, and they have a gathering. And then we come back on Friday nights for our men's advanced Bible study. That's 8 to 10 Central Time. It's on Clubhouse. Okay. And the room, the title of the room is Non-Messianic Conversation. Like I said, that's from 8 to 10 Central Time also. Then we have 2 Shabbat classes. We have a morning Shabbat class that start at 10 for 2 hours, 10 to 12 a.m. Then we come back to close out the Shabbat, 6 to 7. Okay, that's Central Time also. Okay. So with that being said, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament and the Torah being the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts. Okay, I want to say shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh. Okay, you can go to our, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, we read the Psalms, deal with the current events, and then we'll go into our need to know information, open it up for some questions and comments, little dialogue if somebody has some, and then we'll go into our topic, which is, like I said, picking up from last night, dealing with Enoch and Jesus in the book of Genesis, the book of the Giants. Okay, we will close out. So this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come this day, bow down, honoring you and praising you and believing in you. And we thank you for your wisdom and your knowledge that you have poured out upon us. And through your prophets, you have revealed the times that we as your Jacob's children will endure. Keep us, O Lord, guide us and deliver us in these last days. We see you now within the Holy Scriptures, O Lord, and we trust you with all our hearts and all our soul. Keep not that silence, but shine forth on our enemies with all thy power and thy great glory. Okay. So with that being said, we read the Psalms. Okay. I'll read Psalms 88. It's the cry for deliverance from death. Okay. O Lord, God of my salvation, I have cried day and night before thee. Let my prayer come before thee. Incline thine ear unto my cry. For my soul is full of troubles, and my life draweth nigh unto the grave. I am counted with them that go down into the pit. I am as a man that have no strength, free among the dead, like the slain that lie in the grave, whom thou rememberest no more, and they are cut off from thy hand. Thou hast laid me in the lowest pit, in darkness, in the deep, in the depths. Thy wrath lieth hard upon me, and thou hast afflicted me with all thy waves. Selah, thou hast put away my acquaintance far from me, and thou hast made me an abomination unto them. I am shut up and cannot come forth. My eyes mourneth by reason of the affliction. Lord, I have called daily upon thee. I have stretched out my hands unto thee. Wilt thou show wonders to the dead? Shall the dead arise and praise thee? Selah. Shall thy loving kindness be declared in the grave, or thy faithfulness in destruction? Shall thy wonders be known in the dark, and thy righteousness in the land of the forgetfulness? But unto thee have I cried, O Lord, and in the morning shall my prayer prevent thee. Lord, why castest thou off my soul? Why hidest thou thy face from me? I am afflicted and ready to die from my youth up. While I suffer thy terrors, I am distracted. The fierce wrath goeth over me. Thy terrors have cut me off. Thy came around, they came round about me daily like water. They compass me about together. Lover and friend have they put far from me, and my acquaintance is in the darkness. Okay, that was Psalms 88 is a cry for deliverance from death. So I can pretty much relate to a lot of this that's in this script in this song, because when the Lord host started dealing with you, he kind of isolate you and put you all by yourself and start dealing with you. And then whether you stay on that path and to learn, uh, it's all good. But when you get off of it, it's like he turned up the fire. Okay, but I want to shine a light on this verse what I heard that I kind of it says yeah, I was telling you about how you know who the Lord of hosts is and who Yahweh is by their actions. So Yahweh wouldn't be stretching his hands out to himself. So when you see in Daniel chapter 12, when the Lord of hosts, who most people assume is Yahweh, stretch out his hands to God. So we know that's not him. Then we see it again in Deuteronomy 32. He stretch out his hands to the Creator. But the verse right here also with, and so like I said, the order fall roll downhill. So we see these prophets and these kings and Israelites stretching their hands out to the Lord of hosts. An example is in Psalm 88 verse 10. Oh, Psalm 88 verse 9. It says, mine eyes mourneth by reason of the affliction. Lord, I have called daily upon thee. So he calling him daily. So how? I have stretched out my hands unto thee. So this Miskal, which is the one that Ezra, his name Miskil, uh, one of the chief musicians in the temple with David. He's stretching out his hands, petitioning the Lord of hosts. He says he's doing it continuously daily, but evidently not getting no response. But he's stretching out his hands to him. So I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy and see that this Lord of hosts, whom everybody seems to think is Yahweh, we're gonna see what he's doing. I mean, Deuteronomy 32, and okay, So we're going to start out in to 35. Deuteronomy 32 and 35 says, "To me belong vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste." So we see right here, 35, it says, "To me belong the vengeance and recompense." Everybody assume that's Yahweh, right? 36, "For the Lord shall judge his people." They assume that this is Yahweh, "and repent himself for his servants when he seeth that their power is gone, and there is none that shut up or left. And he shall say, Where are thy gods, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection." Then 39, "See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God, lowercase, with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hands." So the Christian and the average reader would assume that that's Yahweh or even Jesus Christ. But you keep reading 40. "For I lift up my hands to heaven," whoever this is, "I lift up my hands to heaven and I say, I live forever." And then 41, "If I with my glistening sword in my hand take hold of heaven, I will render recompense to my enemies, and I will reward them that hate me." So we know who this is. It's got the glistening sword. None other than Michael, Lord of hosts. And 42, "I will make mine arrows drunk with the blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain of the captives from the beginning, beginning of revenge upon the enemy." So we see right here who this is. But like I said, we're so blinded by the New Testament and it's idol in the New Testament that we don't see this stuff, but it's right there. So we also see in 36 that he's the judge. For the Lord has judged his people. It's not Yahweh. Then he says, 35, "To me belong vengeance and recompense." They're dealing with sin. So we see it's not Yahweh. It's the angel Michael, Lord of hosts, the mighty one, the Holy One of Israel. Okay. Any comments?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that being said, we'll go to current events.
Shockwaves throughout the world, China and Russia recently launched warplanes over the Israeli capital, Tel Aviv. This sudden escalation of tensions in the Middle East has left global leaders scrambling for answers and has put Israel in a precarious position. To fully understand the gravity of this situation, we must delve into the geopolitical dynamics, the motivations behind this brazen move, and the potential consequences it could unleash on the already volatile region. The Middle East has long been a hotbed of geopolitical tensions, with numerous regional and global players vying for influence and control. Israel, a nation surrounded by hostile neighbors, has always been a focal point in this complex web of interests. Over the years, it has established itself as a formidable military power in the region, maintaining a close alliance with the United States while remaining at odds with several of its neighbors, particularly Iran. China and Russia, on the other hand, have been steadily expanding their influence on the global stage. Both nations have sought to challenge the dominance of the United States in various ways, from economic initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative to diplomatic and military maneuvers. Their decision to send warplanes to Tel Aviv represents a significant shift in their engagement with the Middle East. Understanding why China and Russia would choose to launch warplanes over Tel Aviv requires a closer look at their respective motivations and strategic interests. For Russia, This move can be seen as an attempt to reassert its influence in the Middle East, particularly in Syria. The Syrian conflict has allowed Moscow to establish a military foothold in the region, and its support for the Assad regime has given it a seat at the table in regional affairs. By sending warplanes over Tel Aviv, Russia may be signaling its willingness to flex its military muscle and remind global powers of its presence and influence. Additionally, the move could also serve as a distraction from its domestic issues and international tensions, redirecting attention towards the Middle East. This diversionary tactic is not uncommon in international relations, and may be a way for Russia to maintain its domestic and international standing. China's motivations in this crisis may be tied to its growing economic interests in the Middle East. The BRI has made significant inroads in the region, with China investing in infrastructure projects and forging economic partnerships with various countries. Israel, with its innovative technology sector and strategic location, has become a key player in China's plans for the region. By sending warplanes to Tel Aviv, China may be seeking to demonstrate its commitment to safeguarding its economic investments and interests in the Middle East. This move could also be a signal of solidarity with Russia, or an attempt to test the waters of its newfound influence in the region. The repercussions of China and Russia's actions over Tel Aviv are multifaceted and could have far-reaching consequences, not only for the Middle East, but also for the global order. The immediate consequence of this crisis is the heightened instability in the Middle East. Israel, a nation already surrounded by adversaries, now faces an unprecedented military threat from two major global powers. This could lead to a rapid escalation of tensions and potentially provoke a military response from Israel or its allies in the region. The crisis also has the potential to draw other regional players into the fray. Iran, which has a long-standing rivalry with Israel, could see this as an opportunity to further its interests and support China and Russia in their actions. The involvement of additional actors could further complicate an already volatile situation. The crisis in Tel Aviv has not gone unnoticed by the international community. Global leaders and organizations have called for an immediate de-escalation of tensions and a return to diplomatic negotiations. However, the situation remains fluid, and the world watches with bated breath as the crisis unfolds. The United States, Israel's staunch ally, is faced with a delicate balancing act. It must support Israel's security while avoiding an all-out conflict with China and Russia, both of which possess nuclear arsenals. This diplomatic challenge highlights the fragility of the global balance of power and the potential for unintended consequences. Furthermore, this crisis has the potential to strain international alliances and reshape global politics. It may push nations to reassess their alliances and allegiances, leading to shifts in diplomatic and military partnerships. The consequences of such realignments could have lasting effects on the international order. Amid the growing tensions, diplomatic efforts are underway to defuse the crisis and find a peaceful resolution. The United Nations, along with regional organizations like the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, has called for immediate talks and a cessation of hostilities. The diplomatic challenge lies in finding common ground among the involved parties. Israel is unlikely to accept foreign military aircraft over its capital without a robust response, while China and Russia may be unwilling to back down without achieving their strategic objectives. Finding a compromise that satisfies the interests of all parties will require skilled diplomacy and creative solutions.
Okay, so we see right here today, 4 hours ago, according to YouTube, Russia and China sent warplanes that flew over the capital of Israel, over Tel Aviv. So we see how everything is steady, egging along, little day by day. Any comments on that?
Shalom. That's from the Old Testament. Magog and Gog is getting together, teaming up.
Okay. Okay, yeah. With Gog and Magog.
And that's
Anybody
something
else?
that, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Nah, go ahead. What you got?
That's something that the Lord of Hosts is against Magog and Gog, because they're those are the two that he does not like.
Okay. Yeah, we got another one here.
Disease X is what some are calling a viral infection that would cause 20 times more fatalities than the COVID pandemic. That is concerning. 20 times more fatalities. Let that sink in for a moment, because that is what we are now hearing. Now, today I'm going to address what is Disease X, why world leaders are discussing that today, and what this means moving forward. I'm also going to bring you an update from the CDC, where we are now getting reports that the CDC wrote an email of an alert for a heart disease, a heart issue, and they never sent it. They never sent out this alert. So I'm going to address that in just a moment. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So let's discuss Disease X. What is it and why are we going to talk about that today? Well, here we go. Disease X. It says World Economic Forum, or what we'll call the WEF in just a moment, is creating a contingency plan for infectious virus outbreak. It says the WEF attendees say they will discuss the hypothetical virus in order to prepare properly for it. Now, this is a hypothetical virus, Disease X. This is what the World Health Organization is calling it, is Disease X. Here's what you need to understand. Previously, before the whole COVID pandemic, back in 2017 and in 2018, 2019, we were doing research to try to determine what we could do if the United States and other countries were to experience a viral outbreak. Well, that's exactly what happened, and we are now hearing from government saying that if it wasn't for all the research that we did previously, we would have not have been able to put together a vaccine quick enough to help out the people. Now, with that said, I also want to show you one other thing. That is this. It says, this is from Zero Hedge. It says the CDC drafted alert for myocarditis and COVID vaccine, but they never sent it. They never sent us out. This alert was drafted, and there's a picture of it. I'll show you this right here. Okay, here's a picture of this alert. You can see it right here. This is drafted on May 21st, 2021, but it was never sent. Okay, that's what we are hearing. That this was drafted, but it was never sent. Now, why does this matter? Well, this matters because we get all of our we're supposed to get all of our health information from the CDC and the World Health Organization. If we cannot trust the CDC or we cannot trust the World Health Organization, then who do we trust? And especially in a time like this, when they are talking about Disease X, a hypothetical virus that could affect all of us, which could result in 20 times more fatalities than the COVID pandemic. That's concerning. Let's read this. This is from Fox News. I want to read this to you. It says, the hypothetical virus dubbed by the World Health Organization, or the WHO, is Disease X. This has not yet been formed, but scientists and attendees at the global confab say they will be chatting about the potential pathogen so that they can prepare properly should it ever strike. That is good. That's a start that we have to prepare. But here's the concern. If we are preparing for these potential dangers, just like what happened back in China in the lab in Wuhan, if this virus were to leak out, then that puts us all at danger, all at risk. And so that's the concern, that in order to help protect us from a virus like that, or what they're dubbing as Disease X, we may have to create a virus like Disease X in order to combat that. That is the concern, is how safe is this going to be? Well, let's keep reading. It says right here, with fresh warnings from the World Health Organization that an unknown disease X could result in 20 times more fatalities than the COVID pandemic, what novel efforts are needed to prepare healthcare systems for the multiple challenges ahead? This is a page detailing a meeting states on the WEF website. Now, here's what I can tell you. The world leaders are going to go over different scenarios, different options, and they're going to talk about what we need to do. The United States, for one, has already been putting money into place so that we can fund the research, the development of a potential shot. But again, we don't know when that's going to come. We don't know how soon that's going to be. According to billionaire Bill Gates, we could see a pandemic in 2025. This could be worse than the pandemic we saw in 2020. So, what does that mean moving forward? Well, here's the problem. Nobody, okay, I don't want to say nobody. A lot of people are highly concerned with listening to the CDC here in the United States or the World Health Organization, because the CDC kept giving us different information. The World Health Organization did the same thing. If we turned on the news and we saw Dr. Fauci back in 2020 and 2021, guess what? A lot of people shut it off. They didn't want to hear from it. And I want to kind of explain why. One of the things that we have heard over the past couple months is that the concern moving into 2024 is that this is an election year. Being it's an election year, elected officials are going to tell the American people whatever it is that they want to hear. If you are concerned with a potential shot or an upcoming pandemic, they're going to tell you, don't worry. It's perfectly safe. There's nothing to be worried about. Well, I want to show you this. This is just from earlier in 2021. It said a small study points to possible cause of myocarditis following the vaccine in young men. Okay? So if you received the mRNA vaccine, well, you may have got it. You may now have myocarditis. Yeah. Troubling, right? And that's one of the reasons why some say that they don't want to believe what other experts are telling them, because why would they? Everybody has an agenda. The agenda is, and this is what people were supposed to do and what Dr. Fauci was supposed to do, President Biden, this is what he was tasked with, is to increase the amount of people that are vaccinated. Increase the amount of people that are going to get the shot. That is your goal.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. Again, it sounds like a guinea pig thing. They're going to make the virus, and to prevent the virus, such as when fire comes, they do a backfire. They start it, it's fire going, and then they go further and start it so it can meet up with it. That's how it's being explained to me. But again, in that same scenario, what about this vaccine that they're wanting someone to get a shot for, this X virus? Is it going to work? Would it interfere with whoever took the vaccine prior? How's that stuff is going to work? And now they need some people to receive this vaccine for X.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we got some need to know information right here.
For centuries, Western powers have been very dominant in Africa. However, a new era is dawning, as the rise of some African leaders is challenging the old order. The economic and political terrains of Africa are shifting as economic and political decisions by African countries, including South Africa, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, have begun to replace the influence of Western countries with new powers. China, Russia, and other countries are making inroads in Africa, forming partnerships and challenging the traditional dominance of Western countries. These changes in diplomatic relations can be seen as wars against Western countries in Africa, opening a new chapter in the global balance of power. In this video, We'll explore various examples in which the West had lost some of its grip on Africa and the implications for Africa and the world. Before we continue, please support us by giving this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on our new updates. Africa is a diverse and complex continent. It is home to 54 countries, each with its unique culture, language, and history. Despite being the second largest continent, it is often overlooked and misunderstood. Africa is a vibrant blend of cultures, languages, religions, and natural wonders. It is home to ancient civilizations, such as Egypt, and has a rich literary and musical tradition. Despite its many challenges, Africa is a continent on the rise, full of potential and opportunity. Western countries have always held a grip on Africa during colonialism and post-colonialism. Still, they have been recently challenged on multiple fronts, weakening their influence and powers in the continent. The wars against the West in Africa were waged through actions by some countries with support from African leaders. We will be looking at some of these countries and their actions, which reduced the influence and powers of the West in Africa. China. Beginning in the late 2000s, China has embarked on a massive campaign of infrastructure and economic investment in Africa. This campaign has involved the construction of new ports, roads, railways, and physical infrastructure, as well as creating new trade and financial agreements between China and various African nations. One of the most prominent examples of this campaign is the construction of the Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway, SGR, in Kenya, financed by China, and has improved trade and transportation links between Kenya and its neighbors. China's growing influence in Africa has had significant impacts on Western powers. For instance, China has surpassed the United States as the largest trading partner for several African countries, including Nigeria, Angola, and South Africa. This shift has resulted in Western-owned companies losing market share to Chinese companies.
So let's look at that right quick. So, like I said, when you understand who the Israelites are and where they are, where they located at, then these scriptures start making a lot more sense. So what we witnessing right here with this video, go right here and read it. It's Isaiah chapter 60. It says, like I said, it's happening right in our face, but a lot of people not understanding what's really going on. They're caught up in Christianity and Islam and all that. So chapter 60 says, the future glory of Zion, that's Israel, the Israelites. Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth. They're going to be in the dark. They're not understanding it, right? And gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, kings to thy brightness of thy rising. Lift up thy eyes round about and see. All they that gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Then 5, then thou shalt see, and flow together, and thine heart shall fear, and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. So we see that right here. All these, this prophecy. When you understand Mali and Bonafista and all those people, those are Nigerians, all those Israelites. And we see them breaking away from colonization and all that, and they're starting to build up their commerce, which is the forces of the Gentiles that's in the sea. We're looking right at it, but nobody can seem to believe that those people are Israelites.
Particularly in the telecommunications and infrastructure sectors. Additionally, competition from China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, has led to the abandonment of some Western-funded development projects in Africa. Furthermore, Western countries have decreased the amount of aid and development assistance provided to African countries, as they have shifted their focus to other regions and priorities. Another example is the construction of the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, which connects Ethiopia and Djibouti and has greatly increased trade and economic activity between the two countries. In addition to these physical infrastructure projects, China has also invested in creating economic zones and special economic zones, SEZs, in countries such as Ethiopia, Zambia, and Senegal. These zones provide tax breaks and other incentives for businesses to set up operations and have created jobs and economic growth in the host countries. One of the most significant aspects of China's investment strategy in Africa is its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, which aims to develop trade and economic connections between China and over 60 countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe. Under the BRI, China provides loans, technical assistance, and other resources to help countries build their infrastructure and improve their economic conditions. This has led to a surge in Chinese investment in African countries, with many seeing benefits such as increased trade, new jobs, and infrastructure improvements. Western-led initiatives like the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, and the US-Africa Leaders Summit have struggled to compete with China's BRI in attracting investment and interest from African countries.
So, like I said,
General,
like I said, you can see that this Isaiah 60 is in full blown operation. This Road and Belt Initiative is forces of the Gentiles. China is a leading distributor of commerce and goods around the world, and Africa is squat out in the middle of it. That's what's giving these countries that we see breaking away from the Western powers, giving them their motivation to do so, because of it's more to gain dealing with what China got going on and what America and the West got going on. Okay, any comments on that?
I'm gonna say, why is China like the leading like supplier of like a lot of resources?
So why they leading?
Yeah, for like resources and things like that. I know that because I'm starting a clothing line, man, and like everything kind of comes out of China.
Right,
And I'm
exactly.
just wondering, like, why America is like when it comes to that, they so behind in manufacturing. I guess I want to say.
Yeah, yeah, but a lot of people don't. What a lot of people don't understand about that is that uh, way back, you remember when they dropped those 2 atomic bombs on the Chinese people?
Yeah, yeah.
So ever since then, they came up with a plan, and they went to work on getting everything better and doing everything better, and then making stuff at a cheaper rate. So over the years, they came up with, they ended up being the main supplier to everybody, because of other people would have, just say for instance, Nike, Michael Jordan shoes. They have them, but they'd be $200. When China come and make that same product for a whole lot less. And so they did that all the
Oh,
way across the
okay.
board with parts and everything. So that's how everybody went to. It just became a norm to deal with China, because you get better. You're going to get cheaper products to where it's at
Okay.
now. So they just took over the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Questions or comments about anything about last night, about last week? Okay, I'll play this here, and then, like I said, we'll pick back up what we was dealing with the Book of Giants and Enoch and Yahweh. Okay.
As of January 8th, 2024, the national debt in the United States has surged past an alarming $34 trillion. For many, that huge number might seem distant, almost inconceivable without context. However, digging into this seemingly enormous figure unravels a profound and upcoming danger. This massive number not only signifies a financial burden, but also casts a shadow over the destiny of our nation and the legacies of generations to come. In today's video, we explore the alarming observations of Ray Dalio, a seasoned financial expert who for over 3 years has been sounding the alarm on the critical dangers lurking within the corridors of government. Dangers that have specific consequences and look to threaten the entire financial ecosystem. Everything from stocks to real estate faces this serious threat when looked at through the prism of Dalio's warnings. Signs that have roots in a problem that started in the early 80s and are only now starting to show symptoms of trouble. To understand just how severe this problem is, we first need to dive into a bit of history. Debt has always been a companion of the United States since its inception. This enduring presence has led many to perceive it as a familiar and perhaps harmless aspect of our national landscape. Now, without boring you to death, I'm going to avoid going through the full history up until this point today, but what you have to understand is the key takeaway. Debt has always been woven into the fabric of this country's narrative. So naturally, you might wonder, why worry now? After all, we've grappled with this challenge throughout our history and have always found a way forward. However, this is where we delve into the concept of debt spirals and how they've consistently played a role in the downfall of some of history's most significant and prosperous empires. And right now, we seem to be headed in that exact direction. You may call it far-fetched, but the signs are definitely there. You see, over time, as our debt exponentially...
So let's look at this. I'm just kind of bouncing off what you had just asked me, D-Ray, about the China, how they got to where they was at. So let's look at this right quick. It says, I'm in Daniel. And it says, let me get it. This is interpretation of the fourth beast. It says, this Daniel chapter 7, verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of things. These great beasts, which are four kingdoms, which shall arise out of the earth. And then 18, the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. And then 19, then they will know the truth of the fourth beast. That's what we are now. We're in the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and nails of brass, which devour and break in pieces, and stomp with the residue with his feet. And then it says, 20, there's four beasts, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose looks were more stout than the fellows. So 19 says, the fourth beast, the reason why it's lasted so long is it's diverse from all the rest of them. So what's he talking about? Okay, the Babylonian kingdom that was ran by Nebuchadnezzar, it rose and fell in Babylon. Then the Medes and Persians came, they rose and fell in the same geographical location. Then the Greeks came, they rose and fell in the same. So this last kingdom, which everybody's, a lot of people don't understand it, but it's the Romans. But you got to remember, Rome and Esau merged together. The Edomites and the Romans merged together, became one nation. So the Esau is running this kingdom. That's what Alexander was. Alexander was he was among the Greeks, but he was an Edomite. His father Philip, him and his father Philip, and those Edomites had fled there when they tried to kill. We was reading in the book of Esther when Haman had made that decree to kill all the Israelites that was in the Medes and Persian kingdom. Then they turned it. When Mordecai found out what was going on, they flipped the order. Esther put out a decree to kill all the Edomites in the kingdom. So they fled from there and they went to Greece. So Esau, being that he was raised by Abraham, he's looking at this, how the kingdom rose and fell in the same place. So what makes the four beasts diverse is moves. It packs up all this stuff and relocate. And so the reason I'm showing you that is because what they're showing you right here. He said previous nations and kingdoms that rose, and then you start looking at the decline. Like they say, what goes up got to come down. So all these other nations we know, like Great Britain and all them, at one time they had it going on. And then they reached their zenith, then they start coming down. Well, Esau know that. So before they start coming down, they pack all their bags and relocate and start over again. So how China rose to the prominence where it is today was back in the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. All the companies that made America great, Caterpillar, DuPont, all them countries, all them corporations, they moved to China. So that was Esau behind it, because he seen that America.
Oh, okay. Okay.
America had reached its zenith and it was coming down. That's what we witnessing now is the decline of the American empire, but the people that was behind it, they didn't relocate to China, starting again. They starting over again. And before they came here, they was in Great Britain. When Great Britain had it going on, then when it started declining, they came to America, built America up. And then when America started declining, they moved to China. That's why it's got this fourth beast got 10 horns, 10 different kingdoms, because it's relocating. And what we're looking at now is the last one, China, coming into play. Well, it's already into play, but that's the difference in and the reason why China rose so fast. They read all the things, all those corporations that made America great left here. Like I say, I remember back in the day, Caterpillar. You don't even see nothing. You don't even see that word no more. That was a major corporation in America that was behind the big war engine that helped them win World War II. So all them companies left and went to China. That's why you don't see them no more. Yeah. Let's play a little more of this.
Expands, we as a nation will eventually reach a point where the amount necessary to service that debt becomes too large.
Right. It happened over and over in history.
It's very easy
to understand that.
At favorable rates and good terms. But once the going gets rough and the interest rates increase, the burden becomes exponentially harder to pay. And we are a lot closer to that than what you probably think. Right now, the United States spends $169 billion per year on interest expenses alone, which makes up around 16% of our annual budget. It's estimated that in 4 years, the government will spend 2 times more money on interest than it will on our entire military. This path forward is clearly unstable and poses a serious risk to our entire financial system. To understand the specifics and just how bad it will get, don't listen to me, listen to Dalio. He makes it very clear just how close we are to this dangerous scenario.
Are we in a debt crisis or are we at one? We are, in my opinion, we are at the beginning of a very classic late big cycle debt crisis, when the supply-demand gap, when you're producing too much debt, and you have also a shortage of buyers. What's happening now, as we have to sell all this debt, is we then do have enough buyers. There are changes now in terms of the quantities in the world that are being held by large investors around the world that have lost money in these treasury bonds and so on. And then there are geopolitical changes which are having an effect. Some cases, some countries are worried about sanctions, and then there's this geopolitical shift. So when I look at the supply-demand issue, there's a supply-demand issue for that debt. There's a lot of debt. It has to be bought, has to have a high enough interest rate. So a crisis, that's, if we continue down this path in terms of what's likely over the next 5 and 10 years, then you reach the point that balancing act becomes very difficult.
How will we know? And is it really a function of not having enough buyers for the federal debt? Is there any evidence of that so far?
We're right at the brink of starting to find out that. the amount of selling of government debt collapsed, right? We didn't issue government debt. And now we're going to issue a lot of government debt. And so when we look at the buyers, there appears to be a shortage, a significant shortage of the buyers for that government debt.
Okay, so like I was saying before, the powers that be, these Edomites and Israelis and all of them, they already knew this long way back in the, like I said, back in the 80s, even before that. They knew that America was going, you know, nothing. What, like I said, what goes up got to come back down. That's just laws of nature. It's gonna rise and fall, rise and fall. Every kingdom rise and fall. They just got to, they just pack their bags, take their blueprint, and go somewhere else and start again, and take all the goods that they used in the previous place they was in. They take all the goods that made the other one good and leave, and then leave it to fall and relocate somewhere else. That's the genius of Esau. So yeah, but now that we awaken, we looking right at it. If you got the right glasses on, okay. Any comments on that? Okay, so what we're gonna do right here is go into our lesson, which is the topic is Enoch, Jesus, and the Book of the Giants. We was dealing with that last night, so I didn't feel like it was a lot more to be said, so I'm just gonna pick it up right here tonight. Anybody got anything from last night that they wanted to shine a light on that something they didn't understand about what was being said last night? Questions or comments about that? Okay, so my first thing what I want to do is I was looking at this a little bit last night, and then this morning, and I'm gonna go to and read it first. Then I put some clarity on it. It's I'm in the Book of Giants, right? And let me get it. Okay, and it's we was talking about how if you go back to Psalms, one of the Psalms, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it says over and over again through the Psalms, David saying it says that the Lord of hosts, when you understand the temple that's in Jerusalem is belongs to the Lord of hosts. Yahweh's temple is in heaven. But the temple they built in Israel is the temple to their God, which is the Lord of hosts. It's not Yahweh temple. It's the Lord of hosts temple. So understanding that we know that the princes, even when Jeremiah told Barak, they had Jeremiah pinned down in a cistern because he was prophesying the truth to them, and the kings was wicked, and they didn't want to hear the word of God. So they told Jeremiah to shut up, but understanding when the Spirit of Most High is on you, you can't shut up. So Jeremiah wouldn't shut up. He kept proclaiming what the Lord told him. So they ended up throwing him in one of those cisterns and had him down there. So they didn't stop the Lord of hosts from dealing with him. So he put prophecies in Jeremiah's mouth, and Jeremiah gave them to Barak. Barak is scribe. So Jeremiah would speak it. Barak would write it down. Then Jeremiah told him, take this scroll to the gates of Jerusalem. So why did he say that? Because that's where the princes, you know, those men that the Lord of hosts told Joshua about, the high priest. He said, if you keep my charge, you're going to be able to run my temple, and you're going to be able to deal with these men that's around you that's wondered at. The men wondered at. Those are the princes. You got 12 different tribes. It's a man out of each tribe that's running that tribe. And not only that, he got a son, which is a prince. So all these princes from all these different tribes, they always hang out at the the gates of Jerusalem. And we see that that's where Mordecai was at. Even in captivity, he was in captivity, but if Esther wanted to get a message to Mordecai, she knew to go to the gate or herself, or she sent somebody, one of her servants, to the gate. And that's how her and Mordecai kept in contact. So we saw last night, these 4 angels looked down from the gates of heaven. They at the gates. These angels at the gates in heaven. Like I said, 2 different locations. Dealing with 2 different entities. One is in Jerusalem, Lord of hosts, and the other one is in heaven. His temple was in heaven. So we saw even with Abel, when Cain killed Abel, his blood cried out and went to the gates of heaven. That's where the prince is at, the 7 princes. They're at the gates of heaven, right? So with that being said, I was going to read this right here. It says, I read last night where it says Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel. They were the 4 that looked down from heaven, right? So let me check this out, see what I'm doing. Yeah, let me read it. See what. Okay. All right, so it says, and it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, carried off, and it ascended into heaven. And I saw the sons of the holy angels, sons of God. They were walking on the flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their faces shone like the snow. So let's look at that. Like I said, what people don't understand is what we're dealing with on the earth and dealing with the Levites is all that is it's a duplication of what's in heaven. When you're dealing with the angels, they just like you got Jerusalem and the Levites is the holy ones that's walking around in Jerusalem. You got heaven and the angels are the ones walking around in heaven. They the holy ones. So notice what it says. And it came to pass after this that the Spirit of the Lord translated and carried that my spirit was translated and carried off and it ascended into heaven, right? And I saw the sons of the holy angels, these princes, the angels, sons of God. They were walking on flames of fire. Look at this. And their garments were white as snow. Well, let's look at this. And like I say, this don't change. This don't change. So he says, you're looking for the suffering servant on the earth in Jerusalem, the suffering servant. So these angels up in heaven, these 7 angels specifically, they're the ones in charge of sin. They're the suffering servant. So we come to the earth, and the Lord of hosts took the Levites and brought them to himself. They the ones that the sin is on them. They're the ones that have to gauge the sin and keep the people from sinning. So they're the slave. They're subject to the Lord of hosts. They're like those 7 angels, and specifically Michael, they're subject to the Lord. Where they hang out at the gate, where the Levites and the princes hang out at the gate. So it says he saw them, Enoch saw them, and their garments. They had garments on. Like I said, we see in chapter 10 describing the Lord of hosts. He got a white garment on, girded about with a golden girdle. That's a holy garment that he had. So we know the other ones got the same kind of garment on. So anyway, we go to Isaiah chapter 52. We're looking for the suffering servant on the earth. Right? We know who the suffering servant is in charge of sin and judgment in heaven is these 7 angels, and specifically the Lord of hosts. So Isaiah 52. It says 52, 13, 14, and 15. We're looking for the suffering servant. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently, and he shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. Right now, we've been denigrated. We lost everything, lost our culture and our understanding and all that, especially the Levites. 14, many shall be astonished at thee. This is when they come back. His vestige was so more, his garments. That's what vestige means. His garments were so more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. And so shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings of the earth shall shut their mouths at him for that which they had not heard, been told, and that which they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. Once they see him back in their garments, just like I read last night when the Lord of hosts told the other angels to clean Joshua up. His garment, his garment was filthy. He had on filthy clothes. Said, clean him up, wash him up, put his garment back on, the priestly garment. and then put a crown on his head, because you got two crowns in Israel, one on the king head and one on the priest head, high priest head. One on some out of David's lineage, the other one out of Aaron's lineage. So he said, clean him up and put his garment back on him. So the whole world is gonna be in disarray when they see us, the Levites, standing there with these garments back on. Because they have to be restored, and they have to be in clean garments in order to sprinkle the people, like they was doing when the temple was in existence before he destroyed the nation of Israel. So we're looking at the same thing right here. What Enoch saw when he went to heaven. Let me finish reading that. So he says, and it came to pass after that my spirit was translated and carried off, and I ascended into heaven. See that? Not Jerusalem. And I saw the sons of the holy angels, sons of God. They were walking on the flames of fire. See that? Their garments. We got an example of that in Daniel 10, what the garments look like. Were white, and their faces shine like the snow. So, like I said before, you generating the Lord of hosts. Or if you go back, let's look at it. I'm gonna shine a light on this because this is important. So I'm in Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10. So it says, let me get another Bible. That one tore up. Okay. Daniel chapter 10. Okay. Daniel chapter 10 says, okay, says, I start at verse 1. I'm going to verse 5. Say, in the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar, and the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and had the understanding of the vision. In those days, Daniel was mourning 3 full weeks, right? So he mourning, crying out, like we just read in the Psalms at the beginning of the class. Daniel crying out, which includes him throwing his hands up in the air, right? So in those days, Daniel was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, so he crying out to the Lord. All right, bread, neither came flesh or wine in my mouth, neither did I ignore myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. So he crying out. In the 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the river, which is Hedekal, here you go. This the fruit of him crying out. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, behold, a certain man, here you go, in his garments. See that? He could give you the garment, describing the garment. Clothed in linen, whose loins were girded about with fine gold from Upas. His body also was like the beryl, dark-skinned, bronze color like a penny, and his body and his face as appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet, giving you everything you need to know. His arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, that's bronze, brown, dark brown. And the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So this is the Lord of hosts. So he got his holy garment on, right here, just like the priests do. We saw that David had his holy garment on when he bought the temple, when he bought the ark to Jerusalem. He danced out his garment. So we see right here, he got his holy garment on. And my point is this, right? You got all these brothers and woke up, they got on costumes. Look at this, what he got on. He says, I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded about with fine gold from Upas. You know, costume ass shit. They got the fine, this is the finest gold you can get. Gold from Upas. Part of his garment. So that's the insult. Like I said, if you wanted you to sacrifice to him, we have flocks and herds. He took the flocks and herds because he don't want to sacrifice it. And then if you wanted you to have blood to put on your doorposts, like when they was in Egypt, they had the flocks and herds with them. All they had to do was go to the herd and kill a young lamb and put the blood on the doorposts because they had the lambs. Not no fucking, not no ribbon. You can't get no red ribbon out of Walmart and put on the doorpost. Come on, like I said, with these costumes, just like the Jewish people, they Jewish, they ain't the real people. So you got a garment on with gold looking girdle on. It ain't gold. It's shining, look like gold, but it ain't gold. That ain't what the Lord host got on right here. And these other angels and the priests in the temple, like the high priest, he got on a breastplate. That's probably what 10, 20 $1 million, I guess. Probably $1 million worth of rubies on that breastplate. There ain't no costume rubies. That's the real stuff. So that's another reason how we're gonna know when it's time for us to go back. We're gonna have access to all that. We ain't gonna have no costume stuff on. Shit, and then you notice that the ones that do have it on, look how they off on the scriptures. Okay, yeah. So that ain't how it work, man. No, it don't work like that. But that means that's giving you that's subpar. Subpar. Okay. Any comments on that?
So I just want to add in like the temple. They're saying they're making another temple. They don't have the real artifacts. They have replicas. Again, they're trying to fool people.
Yeah, it sounds like he's standing away from the mic or something going on.
Shalom, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I said, just like the temple, right now they're trying to say they're going to build the temple and put those artifacts in there, but they don't have it. They have replicas of it. It's not the
Right.
true
It's not the
one.
real deal. Right.
Sure.
Right. Those are the signs. When the real deal comes, that's when you know what time it is. And that's what we just read, Isaiah 52, when they're going to see who the real Israelites are because they're going to have on the real deal. The Lord of hosts going to be standing there and they're going to be standing in front of him with the real deal on. Okay? Is there something? So it says,
Yes, sir.
right. So it says, the holy angels, God, and they were walking up on flames of fire, and their garments were white, and their faces shone like the snow. And I saw 2 rivers of fire, and the light of that fire shone like the hydrogen, and it fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. And just, here we go. And the angel Michael, one of the archangels, seized me by my right hand, lifted me up, and led me out into all the secrets. And he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. So here we go right here. When we come to wisdom, it says it's a woman, right? But it says right here, if wisdom was a woman, it wouldn't be Michael to grab him. It says, and the angel Michael, one of the archangels, one of the 7 holy ones, right, seized me by my hand, lifted me up, and led me out into all the secrets. See, that's wisdom. All the secrets, and showed me all the secrets of righteousness. Come on. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven. Wouldn't wisdom do that? Or am I off? No comment?
Oh, excuse me. Say that one more time, please.
So he's Solomon prayed for wisdom when he prayed to the God. Then it says, and the Lord came down and gave him wisdom, and not only that, gave him everything else. So if he praying for wisdom and knowledge, if wisdom is a woman, wouldn't she come down and give him the wisdom?
Would she come down and give him wisdom if she's
If he prayed
wisdom?
for wisdom, wouldn't wisdom come down and give him wisdom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so right here it says Enoch is in heaven, and he needs to know all the goings on that's going on in heaven. So it says, and the angel Michael came, not a woman. And the angel Michael, one of the holy angels, seized me by my right hand, lifted me up and led me into all the secrets. What's all the secrets? Wisdom, right?
Yes.
All the secrets, and he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. That's wisdom. Michael, the one, got his hand. Right? Then 4. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven. That's wisdom. And all the storehouses of all the stars and all the lights from where they proceeded before the face of the Holy One. So not only that, like I said, they all these when you start writing dividing this, everything they gave us is paganism. So they worship the woman. That's why they got her. They said she wisdom, and then they didn't want to create gods and idols. They created JC. So we said, what nothing was made in John that what nothing made in creation, Jesus wasn't there. It was by him, the word. But we see right here, he ain't nowhere around. It says he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven. Michael showed me all the secrets of the end of heaven and all the storehouses of the stars and all the lights and from where they proceeded before the face of the holy ones. He ain't nowhere around. If everything was made by him, when this going on right here, damn, somebody would have saw him, right?
Yes, sir.
He ain't nowhere around. So it's like I said, it's like I said before, what goes up got to come down. What if a lie, you perpetrate a lie, eventually it's got to fall to the ground. It may be 3,000 years later, but eventually got to fall to the ground if it's a lie. And if it's the truth, can't lie on the ground forever. It's got to rise. So anyway, it says, and he translated and carried my spirit into the heavens. We just read that's part of his characteristic. Is he's over the best part of men. He translating and transporting. He placing spirits. He's placing spirits in the bodies of the babies when they born. When a kid died at old age, he's taking the spirit back to heaven where it came from. That's what these 7 angels do. Part of their roles. Like I said, they're interlocking, interchanging with these roles that they have. It says, and he translated and carried my spirit into heaven, to the heavens of heaven. That's where Yahweh is. And I saw there as it built, as it were, built of crystal. Just the Lord's house, not the one in Jerusalem. Built of crystals, and between those crystals, tongues of living fire. Here we go, right here. And my spirit saw circles of fire binding around the house of fire. This ain't how you describe the house in Jerusalem, right? Ain't no fire like this around the house in Jerusalem. So it says, and my spirit circled the fire, and my spirit saw circles of fire binding around the house of fire, and on the 4 sides were rivers of full living fire, and they encircled that house. And round about were seraphim, cherubim, oraphim, and these are they who never sleep, and they guarded the throne of his glory. They ain't in the temple in heaven, the temple in Jerusalem. And I saw angels who could not be counted, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands times 10,000 encircling that house. Then here we go again. And Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, female, and the holy ones who were in heaven above go in and out of that house. I don't see Howard Shai or JC name nowhere. 9. And they came out from that house, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and female, and many holy angels without number. And with them, here we go. Go to Daniel right here. This is where the trick come in at. We're going to break this down right here. And with them, the head of days, right? The head of days, his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. So now let's go back right there. We're going to hold right there. Show you what they did. I'm in Ezekiel chapter 1. You can plainly see, I'm going to show you in a minute, but I'm going to read this first. I'm in Ezekiel chapter 1. Right? Ezekiel chapter 1, you're going to describe Yahweh. This is what a lot of people don't know. So Ezekiel chapter, start at verse 4 first. Well, I'll start at verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Tabor, that the heavens, see that? That's where Yahweh throne at. The heavens were open, not Jerusalem was open. The heavens were open, and I saw a vision of God, Yahweh. And in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressively under Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kabor, and the hand of the Lord was upon him. So let's break this down before I go any further. So we go to John. We say the word in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word formed all this stuff. JC, he the word, Yahushua. So, but right here, the word of the Lord came on, especially on Ezekiel. So what is this word? Well, didn't the Lord of hosts, didn't Gabriel, they came to Daniel? So how did the word of the Lord, the Lord in heaven in his temple spoke something concerning Ezekiel? How did it get to Ezekiel? The angel of the Lord brought it. The angel brought it. We saw yesterday, he talking to Michael. He said, go do this and go do that. So Yahweh speak to these angels, and specifically Michael, then he takes it to the prophet. That's how the word get to him. So it's a beam in this right here, verse 3. The word that the Yahweh spoke to the angel came expressively on Ezekiel. Right there. Yahweh ain't in that. See that? Until Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kabor. And the hand of the Lord was upon him. Not Yahweh's hand, his angel. Right? And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and the brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof came the color of amber, and out of the midst of it, the fire. Now here you go. So we're going to see when I read over here in 25 and 26 what's going on. It's a cloud, but it's fire, pure fire inside the cloud, and that fire and the glory that's in that cloud shining through different parts. It's like a turning a bright light on in a room, and you got windows. That bright light gets bursting through the glass, through the windows. You can see the light coming through the cracks or whatever in that building. The light coming through there. So Yahweh is a consuming fire. He's inside the cloud, and that fire, the reflection of that fire radiating through the cloud. But notice verse 5 says, also, he ain't the only one in there. Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance, and they had the likeness of a man. We just read in Enoch that Enoch saw a house made of crystal, fire all around it, 2 lakes of fire all around circling the house. But these angels can go in and out of there. That fire don't affect them because they made from the fire. When he formed those 7 angels, they made from the same fire. That fire don't affect them. And that's the purpose he made them right there. They're able to deal with him. Because they of the same essence he is. These 7 angels. Michael was the first one he made. Right? So anyway, he says, also, verse 5, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. The same 4 I just read, or we've been reading the last 2 days. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phinehas, they're the same 4. Right? It says, and everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. We ain't gonna read all that. We're gonna get to 22. And the likeness of the firmament that was upon their heads was the heads of these living creatures were the color of a terrible crystal. They're gonna crystal. See that? Stretched forth over their heads above. Not no cartoon crystal, the real deal. So it says, and under the firmament were their wings straight, and one toward the other. Everyone had 2, which covered on each side. Everyone had 2, which covered on that side their bodies. And when the prophets and these angels, all this being written down for a reason. That is subverted it. Why you can't understand it. So it says, and when they went I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of the speech, as the noise of a host. And when they stood, they let down their wings. That's these four creatures, right? And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and they had let down their wings. So we know this voice over their heads is the head of days, the Lord of all spirits, right? Angels ain't number spirits, ministering spirits. He the one created all of them and formed them. So he's the Lord of them. He's the head of days, right? Now 26, finna describe him. And above the firmament that was over their heads was a likeness of a throne and the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was a likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it, right? So you got the silhouette of a man. 27, and I saw as the color of amber, and as the appearance of around about within it, from the appearance of his loins, that's his midsection, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had the brightness round about it. See that? So he's got the silhouette of a man, but he's pure fire. Ain't no gray, ain't no hair white like snow, none of that on him. He got a silhouette of a man, but he's a consuming fire. You denigrate the creator when you put flesh on him and a face and white hair. So we know that in Daniel chapter 10, go to Daniel chapter 10. Go to Daniel chapter 10, like quick. Okay. So go to Daniel chapter 10. Like I said, all these descriptions in here for a reason. Go to Daniel chapter 2, and what I just read, verse 5. Then I lifted up my face, I lifted up my eyes, and I looked, and behold, a certain man, clothed in linen. This man got on linen. Yahweh ain't got on no linen. He got pure fire. See that? See, I lifted up my eyes, and I looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded about with fine gold of Upas, and his body. See that? The man over there, we just saw that over these four angels, he's pure fire. That's why it's this fire shining all through the cloud. The thick cloud, the fire shining, light shining all through that fire. So it says, and his body also was like beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the multitude. So this who got woolly hair like lamb's wool. The Lord of hosts, right? So now watch what they did. This is how they denigrated him, right here. So let's read it again. So it says, and it came, oh no, let me go on down. It says, yeah, 12 and 71 of the book of John. These blessings which came from my mouth were very pleasing before the head of days. So the head of days is who I just showed you in Ezekiel chapter 1. He's a silhouette of a man from his loins upward and his loins down with pure fire. Ain't no afro on his head, hair like no lamb's wool. That's Michael. So he says, and the head of days came with Michael. See that? Now watch this. Head of days with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Phinehal, and the thousands upon thousands of angels without number. And the angel came to me. See that? Now the angel came to me. So go back to Ezekiel chapter 1. It's four beings in the cloud with Yahweh. So when they get to where they're going, one of them is the Lord of hosts. He's the one gonna step forward. So it says, and the angel came to me and greeted me with his voice and said to me, this is the Son of Man. So we killing about 4 birds with one stone with this, what I'm reading. So he said, this is the Son of Man, right? So who is this Son of Man? It's Enoch. It's Enoch. See that? It says, and the angel came to me and greeted me with his voice, and he said to me, Enoch, this is the Son of Man, who is born to righteousness, and righteousness abide over him, not Yahushua. See that? That's why this is why the book of Enoch can't be, they denigrated it. Because the Son of Man in the New Testament, they got it from here. This is the Son of Man, Enoch, who is born of righteousness, righteousness abide over him, and righteousness of the head of days forsake him not. See that? How you gonna get somebody else after this? Ain't nobody else. So he says, and righteousness from the head of days. Then it says, 15, he said to me, this Lord of hosts talking to Enoch, he proclaimed to you peace in the name of the world to come. Don't they say JC came in the world to come? Come on, man. Say, and from their peace has proceeded since the creation of the world, and it shall be with you, Enoch, forever and forever. Somebody lying. Keep going. And all shall walk in his ways. All gonna walk in the Son of Man, Enoch. They're gonna all walk in his ways because he walked perfect. That's why he took him. It says he shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsook him. Their dwelling place, just everybody that come after him that's righteous, their dwelling place shall be with him, and it will be their heritage, and they shall not be separated from him, from Enoch, from him forever and forever. And so there shall be length of days with the Son of Man, and righteousness shall have peace and be upright way in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. See how they tricked all that off from right here? They tricked it all off in the New Testament. They didn't put the hair like snow and eyes like lamps of fire on Yahweh and denigrated the Lord of hosts. Took him out the picture. See that? So anyway, keep going. No questions so far? Okay. So we see right there how they switched off. Let's go back to another verse in Daniel. Can't find that didn't register. I go to another verse. We saw right there it was Michael, one of the four angels. And the head of days is Yahweh. And Yahweh don't have no hair on his head or none of that. He's pure fire, he's a consuming fire. That's why when he came down on Mount Sinai, he told the people to put bounds around the mountain. They're gonna want to run up here and gaze, thinking that it's the Lord of hosts or Gabriel or Michael or one of them, and they can run up there and check them out. But no, you can't do that with the Lord of hosts. He's a consuming fire, it's live fire. If you come up there, he's gonna reach out and burn you up. That's why he warned them. This ain't business as usual. When I come down here, it ain't business as usual. So anyway, Daniel, let me get it. So a lot of people got in for a big, major surprise. Okay, so anyway, let me get this Daniel. Okay, I think it's yeah, here you go right here. I think it's in Daniel chapter 7, starting at verse 26. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion and consume and be destroyed, and the kingdom of no, that's not it. Okay, let's see what's it. Okay. Yeah, here it is, chapter 10. It says, starting at verse 14, says, now I have come to make thee understand what shall befall our people in the latter days. For yet a vision is for many days. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and behold, I was dumb. And behold, one like the similitude. No, it ain't it either. Okay, I think I need to go back. Yeah, let's go back. Mhm. Yeah, I'm skipping over this. Oh, here you go. Let me see. There you go. 7. I was looking right over. It says, and I beheld because I'm in 7 and 9. I beheld till the throne was cast down, and the ancient of days sat, whose garment was white as snow, and his hair like his head of and his hair of his head like a pure wool, and his throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire, and a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands upon thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books were opened. And I beheld, then because of the voice of the great word which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season of time. And I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and he came with the Ancient of Days, and he brought him near before him, and there was given him a dominion and glory and the kingdom, and all the people, nations, and languages shall serve him. And his dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and the kingdom and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So we see over here, just like they did in Enoch, they putting the hair and the eyes like or fire and the hair like lamb's wool on Lord of hosts. I mean on Yahweh. Let's go back and read it again. Verse 8 says, I consider the horns. This is chapter 7, verse 8. I consider the horns, and behold, there came up among them a little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horn plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and the mouth of the speaking great things as Antiochus. Then it says, and I beheld the throne was cast down, Ancient of Days did sit. So this the Lord, this Yahweh sitting on his throne. Ezekiel already described it. Then it says, a garment, Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white like snow. Don't have no garment. And the hair on his head was like pure wool, and his throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning wheels. We know that's Yahweh. So they didn't put all these characteristics on Yahweh to denigrate Michael. But I want to show you something. 10. And a fiery stream issued forth from before him, from Yahweh. Thousands upon thousands ministered. We just read that. Thousands upon thousands ministered unto him. Tens of thousands, these are angels. Thousands stood before him, this Yahweh, right? And the judgment was set, and the books were open. Now watch this. And I beheld then, because of the voice of the great word which he had spake, I beheld till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flames. Now here we go. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Being 13, I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man. So we know who the Son of Man is. We just read that. Michael came to Enoch and told him, "You the Son of Man, and righteousness abide on you." So it says, one like the Son of Man. It's David, right? It's David. Came with the clouds of heaven. We know there's 4 angels in the clouds with him. Came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him, David, dominion. It's David dominion. There was given him a dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages shall serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and a kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So my thing is this: who came and told Enoch that he was the Son of Man? Hello? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Starlet, Farrah Fawcett, one of the
I
original.
can hear you.
Yeah, who came to Enoch and told him he was the Son of Man in the book of Enoch? Who told Enoch he was the Son of Man? That righteousness abide on him. Michael, right?
Okay.
He has passed.
Was that?
AJ and Freeze.
I was saying, okay. Yeah, the same person, the Son of Man, the same person that the church said Jesus Christ was, but it's actually Michael.
Yeah, Michael came and told Enoch, you the Son of Man. You the Son of Man, and righteousness abide on you. So who gonna bring David before the Lord host? Who gonna bring David before the Ancient of Days? Michael, right? Right. So but they got the hair like lamb wool and all that on the Ancient of Days. That Yahweh, we just saw, I don't know. It's Michael the one with the hair like lamb's wool and girded about with a golden girdle with a garment on. And the priesthood. They put it on Yahweh. So by putting it on Yahweh, they denigrating Michael. Michael ain't in the picture no more. That's how they brought JC in. You see that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. We plainly see in Ezekiel that he said he's a pure fire. He was standing on top of the sapphire stone, pure fire from his waist up with his waist down. And if he had hair like lamb's wool, and Ezekiel was a black man too, he was the first thing to say it. He had hair like lamb's wool. And he would have, just like he described Michael, he would have said he had a girdle on. He would have said his eyes was like lamps of fire and all that. And his feet. He didn't see no feet. He said he had a silhouette of a man, and he was a consuming fire. And so, like I said, how do we know that? How we know that that's legitimate? Well, when Moses went on the mount. Let's look at that. Let's look at it. I don't want to quote something and don't go to it. So I'm in Exodus. Chapter 3. So remember all we just read about his throne, how it was crystals and fire was flying, was all around the throne. Couldn't nobody go in there but these angels. So I'm in Exodus chapter 3. And it says, the call of Moses in a burning bush. Now, Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert. He came to the mountain of God, even the Horeb, right? Then the next verse, the angel of the Lord. That's who they are. See that? He came to the angel of the Lord, appeared unto him, in the flame of a fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, behold, the bush burning with fire, and the bush was not consumed. So that's not Yahweh on the bush. The angel of the Lord on the bush. He's like Yahweh, so he can appear on the bush in the form of like fire. He lit on the bush. But I'm gonna show you.
So that was Michael,
Yeah,
right?
that's Michael. Right, that's Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's Michael. So now watch this. So that's him in verse 2. He lit on the bush like a flame of fire because he can do that. That's his essence. He can show himself as a man, or he can show himself as a fire like Yahweh, that where he came from. So he lit on the bush and showed himself for fire for a reason. So you go to verse 3, and Moses said, I will turn aside and see this great sight, while the bush is not burning. So why the bush ain't burning? Because the angel of the Lord on the bush in the form of a fire. That's why it ain't burning. 4, and when the Lord, that's Michael, saw that they turned aside to see, then, see that? Yahweh called unto him out of the midst of the bush. So that's why he lit on the bush in the flame of a fire, so Yahweh can talk to him, because he's a consuming fire. You see that? So you say, what are you talking about? Go back to the Wizard of Oz and the witch, the Wicked Witch of the West. She had the monkeys going out all over the place, and she had a crystal ball sitting there, and everything the monkeys seen, because she made them. She made the monkeys. It's witchcraft. Everything those monkeys saw, wherever they went, she's standing right there, and she can see it in the crystal ball. Right? Everybody saw the Wizard of Oz?
Yes, sir.
When everything the monkeys saw, wherever they went, that's how she found Dorothy. When one of the monkeys caught her, and the monkey looking at Dorothy, she's standing back in her room, she can see what the monkey see. So these 7 angels, the same, they all of them come from him. They fire. That's why they different than everybody else. They fire. So that's why I say this, the eyes of God. My eyes go to and fro in the whole earth. These 7 angels, where they go, or what they see, he can see. But he back in heaven. So for Michael, when he showed himself in his pure form, fire, Yahweh can see through what he see, and he can speak through him through the fire. So I'm gonna read it again. And Moses said, I will not turn aside to see this great sight, while the bush is not burned. The bush ain't burning because the angel of the Lord on there in the form of fire. Then 4, and when the Lord, the angel, Michael, the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, then God, Yahweh, called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said unto him, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. See that? So Yahweh was able to talk to him. He can't talk to him himself, because he told him at the mountain, you can't come up here and talk to me, because I'm gonna reach out. My essence gonna reach out and burn you up. So that's why he got these angels.
So he had to talk. He had to talk through an angel in order to talk to him.
To talk to Moses, yeah. And he used the Lord of hosts as a distraction to bring him there. And when he got there, he called him out of the fire, through the fire, and told him that it's me. And then when he finished with him, that was it. Then he back dealing with the Lord of hosts. So you say, what are you talking about? I showed you how that when Balaam, let's look at it. Like I said, it's an order that's in place. You go to Numbers right quick. You gotta let it ferment. Say I'm in 23. This why you call him Lord. That's why the angels calling Yahweh Lord, because of this. And we call the angels Lord because of what they're able to do with us. So let's look at it. This is the story of Balaam and Balak. Balak want Balaam to curse the Israelites. So we're gonna pick it up in 23. And so Balak want Israelites coming out of Egypt. And Balak is the king of Moab. He want Balaam to put a curse on the Israelites. They up on his mountain. looking down at the Israelites passing by, he wanted them to curse them because he already know what they're gonna do. Balaam already told them they're gonna, you know what they're gonna do. They coming in, they're gonna wipe out the Canaanites and all that. So Balak wanted them to curse him. But what Balak don't know is the Lord of hosts there too. He ain't showing himself, but he there with him, and every time he want Balaam to do what he told him to do and pay him. But every time he get ready to do something, the Lord of hosts enter into Balaam. And Balaam can't do nothing but prophesy a blessing on Israel. So let's look at it. It says, and Balaam, I'm in verse 23, chapter 23. And Balaam said unto Balak, build me here 7 altars. See that? 7 angels. Build me here 7 altars. Prepare me here 7 oxen, 7 rams, each one for each one of the angels. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken. And Balak and Balaam offered on every altar a bullock and a ram. And Balaam said unto Balak, stand by the burnt offering, and I will go. Peradventure, see that? Peradventure, the Lord will come. See that? Michael gonna come. See that? To meet me, and whatsoever he show me, right, I will tell thee. And he went. Balak don't understand this, and he went to a high place, and God met Balaam, the Lord, Michael, met Balaam, and he said unto him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered upon every altar a bullock and a ram. And the Lord, Michael, put a word in Balaam's mouth. Wait for him to do it, he got to enter into Balaam. Just like Yahweh can enter into them. So he says, and the Lord says, 4. And God met Balaam, and he said unto him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered under every altar a bullock and a ram. And the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, return unto Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. See that? He can't say nothing else because the Lord took over. He didn't enter into him. He can do that because they made in his image, in their image, right? And the angels, he can do that to the angels because the angels made in his image, right? So then it says, and he took up the parable, and he said, Balak, king of Moab, have brought me from Aram out of the mountains of the east, saying, come, curse me, Jacob. So he's telling the Lord what Balak want him to do. Come, curse me, Jacob, and come defy Israel. How shall I curse whom God have not cursed? Or how that ain't God. Like they want you to think that's Yahweh. That's Michael. Whom God have not cursed, or how shall I defy whom the Lord have not defied? For from the top of the rocks, I see him, and from the hills I behold him. See, you want him to curse him, but the Lord entered into him. I see him. This is Israel, Jacob. From the hills, behold, lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count the dust of the Jacob, and the number of the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of righteous, and let end be his. And Balak said unto Balaam, what hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse my enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. That's because of the angel entering into him, causing him, he can't do nothing else. Same way with the Lord host entering into Michael to speak to Moses. So anyway, he says, and he answered and said, must I not take heed to speak that which the Lord hath put in my mouth? And Balak said unto him, come, I pray thee, with me unto another place. So he want to do it again. And from whence thou comest, may see them, thou shalt see but the utmost part of them, and thou shalt see them all, and curse me them from thence. Right? And he brought him into a field of Zophim and the top of Pisgah, and he built 7 altars and offered Balak, and he offered bullocks and a ram on every mountain, and said to Balak, stand here by the burnt offering while I meet the Lord yonder. So the Lord here the whole time. Balak ignorant too. So here we go. This is how it works right here. The same thing we just read in Exodus chapter 3. We're gonna see the angel, what the Lord did to what the Yahweh did to the Lord of hosts. We're gonna see what the Lord of hosts do to Balaam right here. It says in 24 and 14. Now behold, I go to my people. Come therefore, and I will advise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. And here you go. And I took up the parable, and I said, Balaam, the son of Beor, has said, the man whose eyes were open. So he entered into it now. That's how his eyes open. See into the future now. The angel is in him, right here. Then it says 16, and he said, which heard the words of God, heard the words of the Lord, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw in a vision the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. So he entered into him. He can't do nothing, and he took over. He's speaking curses on Israel, but Balak gave him money to speak a curse. He can't speak a curse because he ain't in charge. Same thing the Lord Yahweh did with Mike on Mountain Horror when he was dealing with Moses. And this is what I found out from reading this today. Check this out. So, and I also wondered about that until this revelation came. So second Samuel, right? I'm in 2 Samuel. We did the same thing. Once you understand this, you can see it happening all over the place. That's what Jeremiah was doing. That's how he got put in the dungeon. They wanted Jeremiah to speak smooth things to him, but he told Jeremiah, go to the gate. When Jeremiah got to the gate, he entered into Jeremiah. He said, don't worry about what I'm gonna say. You go to the gate. When you get there, I'm gonna talk. See? So that's what strike the fear in his life. They didn't took that understanding away. He go into a trance, and they can see it ain't none of him talking. So let's look at this right here. The same thing happened to David. Look at this. Okay. I'm in 2 Samuel 22, right? So it's this David's song. See, he's singing. Like I said, Moses sung a song right here. Spirit of the Lord on them, right? So chapter 22, David's song. And David spake unto the Lord the words of this song to the Lord, right? In the day that the Lord had delivered him out of the hands of all his enemies and out of the hands of Saul. And he said, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, the God of my rock. In him will I trust. He is my shield and my horn of my salvation, my high tower and my refuge, my savior. See that? Not just creator, his savior. Thou savest me from violence. Now here you go. I assume that he was dead, but it's a trance. 4, I will call on the Lord who is worthy to be praised. So shall he save me from my enemies. When the waves of death compassed me about, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried to my God, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled and shook. So we say all this is in the future. So how can he say something if he dead? He in a trance. And the Most High showing him what's going to happen to him when he passed away. Let me read it again. 3, and the God of my rock, verse 3. In him will I trust. He is my shield and my horn and my salvation, my high tower and my refuge, my savior. Thou savest me from violence. And I will call on the Lord who is worthy to be praised. So shall he save me from my enemies. Then this way he showed it. When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, and the snares of death prevented me. In my distress, I called upon the Lord, and I cried to my God, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter his ears. Then the earth shook, trembled. The foundations of the heavens moved and shook because he was wroth, and there went up a smoke out of his nostrils, fire out of his mouth, devoured coals were kindled. And he bowed the heavens also, came down, darkness was under his feet, and he rode upon a cherubim, and he did fly, and he was seen upon the wings of the wind, and he made a pavilion. He made darkness pavilions around about him, dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. and through the brightness of before him were the coals of fire kindled. Then the Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice, and he sent out arrows, scattered them, lightning, and discomfited them, and the channels of the sea appeared, foundations of the world were discovered, and the rebuking of the Lord at the blast of the breath of his nostrils. He sent from above, took me, and drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemies and from them that hated me, for they were too strong for me. Say, they prevented me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. So he showing him in a vision what's going to happen to him when they're at the end. That's what David is seeing. He entered into David, showed him that. No different than what he did to all the rest of the prophets. That's how they able to prophesy. So he did the same thing to Isaiah and Jeremiah, all the rest of them. They would enter into them. They got their ability to do that. That's why Daniel said, just look at one more. We're over here in Daniel. Okay. Okay. Daniel says, okay. Even with Nebuchadnezzar, even with Amalek, when Amalek took Sarah, see, the angel of the Lord came in the night in a vision and entered into Amalek and showed Amalek everything. Yeah. So it says, okay, yeah, chapter 8. You get it. Okay, give me a minute. Yeah, chapter 9, verse 20 said, while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sins, this Daniel 9:20. While I was speaking and praying and confessing my sins and confessing the sins of my people Israel and presenting my supplication before the Lord. While he doing this, my God, before the Lord, my God, for the holy mountain of Israel. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in a vision in the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me, and he said, "Oh Daniel, I am not come to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of the supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the vision and the matter, and consider the vision." That's not it. So let me get it. Yeah, here you go. 10 says, 10 and 7. And I, Daniel, was left alone in the vision. See that? Vision. The only way you can have vision, the angel got to enter into him to show him something. So he says, I saw in the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, because angel ain't in them. They saw not the vision, but the great quaking that fell upon them. And so that they fled and hid themselves. Therefore I was left alone. I saw this great vision. See that? And so and there remained no strength in me, for the comeliness of me was turned unto me into corruption, and I retain no strength. He can't retain no strength because he didn't enter into him, show him the vision, then that weakened him. Then he said 9, yet I heard his voice. He can't move. He's limp. Yet I heard the same way with Balaam. I heard the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then I was in a deep sleep on my face, and my face to the ground. He didn't collapse. Says, and behold, a hand touched me, which set me up upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, check it out. Understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright. So he's weak, he already know he's weak. Stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken these words unto me, I stood trembling. Then 12. Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, from the first day that thou didst set thy heart to understand, to chasten thyself before thy God, the words were heard, and I am come for thy word. So see that right there. It come in the and so, like I said, it ain't just the two of them there. The other one's there too. Just like when he calls Joshua's sin to go away, he told the other angels that were standing there, clean him up, put a clean garment on him, and then I'm gonna cause his sin to go away from him. They're standing there too. So let's keep going. Gabriel came, gave him the vision. He got weak. He gave him the vision. Then he called him. He touched him to stand up, gave him some strength. Right. So these other angels there too. I'm gonna keep reading. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 120 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to me and remained there with the kings of Persia. So let me read that right. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 120 days. But lo, Michael, the chief prince, came and helped me, and I remained there, and I remained there with the prince of Persia. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall the people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. So the vision that he entered into him and gave him. 15. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. So he limp, he can't move. 16. And behold, here come another one that's there. Behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched me. This one came to give him strength. Touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake. And he said unto him that stood before me. See, that's more than one there. And my Lord, lowercase, by the vision, my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. And how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remain no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me after what he done, after he entered into him. And he said, I ain't got no strength, no breath left in me after what you done to me. Now 18. Then there came again, here come another one, and touched me, one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee, be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened. And he said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then said he, know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. Now here you go. So Michael ain't there, right? He said 21. Michael sent Gabriel to give him this information, right? 21 says, I'm going to show you how I know that. 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. So Michael ain't there. If Michael was there, we said, Michael right here, your prince. But he said, he talking in that you can see Michael not there. So where's Michael at? Verse 13. Verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me, right? 120 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief prince, came to help me. So Michael came, dealt with him, and then he left. And so I remained there with the kings of Persia, and now I come. So Michael ain't there. That's why he's saying in 21, but I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There's none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. He ain't there with them, but Michael is his prince. Not only is Michael Daniel prince, he Gabriel prince too. Okay. Any comments? We done went past 2 hours. Anybody got any comments?
Shalom, everyone. As you was breaking down the scriptures and connecting the dots, just with the Lord of hosts alone, right? There's no way you can go over to the New Testament, right? And
Right.
all of a sudden pick up JC.
Right. He ain't in it.
You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Right.
Once you start reading the New Testament and even trying to get understanding of it, it just makes no sense because he's all in one. They have him as the Son of Man. They
Right.
have him as the Messiah. They have him as
Judge. Yeah, he doing all the things these 7 angels doing.
or something like that. It
That's something.
tells us, yes, and it tells us not with the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood or something like that.
Right.
As far as human blood, you know, takes care of all the sins when that is nowhere in the Old Testament at all. So how
Right.
can you just do away with that when it
Right.
says in Malachi, you know, I change not?
Right.
So how all of a sudden he's going to bring the Son of Man in the New Testament and say he brings him to bring judgment?
Right.
It
Exactly.
doesn't say that about Enoch.
Right. You don't mention him nowhere.
Right.
But all of a sudden, everything we see going on right here, all of a sudden in the New Testament, you don't see none of these angels doing none of the things they were doing in the Old Testament. All of a
Right.
sudden,
Right.
they didn't disappear. He doing everything.
Right. Right. And all of a sudden he gives this man authority to execute judgment because he's the Son of Man. Like, come on now.
Right. Oh yeah. Like that something?
It is. It just does not make any sense to me at all. And this is, to me, a perfect video to, connect dots for a lot of people that is holding on to JC, plus those that are trying to explain who the Lord of Hosts is, but is not good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you got to go back and watch this video.
Right. Exactly. Oh yeah. That's why I was saying that, we saw, it was a lot that was discovered, that was laid out last night, but it wasn't all of it. It still ain't all of it, but just, one class at a time. Yeah. And like I said before, he ain't nowhere in the pictures. So you can't put him there if you can read all this and you don't see him nowhere. So all of a sudden he show up in the Old Testament, the New Testament. And then, like I said, Michael the one dealing with sin, he got a man standing in front of him and tell him I done pardon all your sin and took it away. That killed him. Okay, that's crazy. Anybody else got anything? Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna pick this conversation up tomorrow with our women's advanced Bible study night. Like I said, it's 8 to 10 Central Time. Central Time, right? So with that being said, I want to say shalom to everybody, and I'll see the women tomorrow night. Shalom.
Shalom, 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 fam. Y'all have a good night, man.